You are the hero of your own story. I'm simply here to guide you. You're not crazy for feeling like healthcare has gotten colder, faster, and somehow more confusing. Sometimes it feels like a healing art and more like a tangle of bots, data, and cold decisions. These days, when you book an appointment, a chatbot responds. When you strap on a smartwatch, it tracks your heart, your sleep, your stress, and in many ways, it knows more than your doctor ever asks. You Google a symptom, and an AI assistant tries to guess your diagnosis before you even finish typing. If that doesn't surprise you, it should, because that's just part of what you can see. There's another world most of us never realize exists. Behind the scenes, AI makes decisions about your care, your coverage, your health without ever introducing itself, without ever shaking your hand or seeing your face. And yet, despite its power, most people still have no idea what AI actually is or how much of it is already baked deep into the foundation of our healthcare system, shaping decisions large and small. So let's take a step back. Let's bridge the world of the stethoscope, the tangled tools of the old doctor's bag, with the glowing, pulsing world in your pocket and on your wrist. Let's talk honestly about the ways AI influences our minds, our bodies, and even our souls in ways we can see and ways we cannot. And let's invite the wisdom of thinkers who warned us a century ago that the greatest promise of technology would come at a great cost. The first thing we have to do is clear away the jargon. Artificial intelligence, or AI, isn't magic. It's not a single computer or program. It's a suite of technologies that allows computers to mimic human abilities, analyzing patterns, making predictions, learning from data, sometimes even recommending or taking action. In healthcare, that can mean anything from the app that reminds you to refill your prescription, to a system that reads x-rays, to a chatbot that schedules your follow-ups. But it also means the algorithm can flag you for special care or quietly deny coverage of your treatment without a single human eye ever seeing your case. Let's break this down into two realities: the seen and the unseen. And I actually recently experienced this when taking my cat to the vet. It was just a simple exam, and then the doctor agreed the cat was showing signs of pain, so she prescribed some pain pills, and the insurance denied the whole thing, the visit, the prescription, all of it, and it happened within minutes. There was no way a human eye even looked at the case to see if it was covered by insurance. So I was pretty upset about that. I want to drop them all together because that should not be happening, because we ended up paying for the whole thing out of pocket, plus we're paying for insurance that covered absolutely nothing. It doesn't make sense to even carry the insurance. The seen AI in healthcare is on the surface. Robot-assisted surgeries, computer-read scans, chatbots booking appointments, apps promising comfort and coaching of your mind or for spirit. These tools at their best help overworked humans do more, faster, and sometimes even better. Imagine faster cancer detection thanks to image analysis, reminders to take pills on time, or meditation guided in your own living room through an app's soothing voice. If you've ever felt supported in a hard moment by a mood tracking app or nudged towards wellness by a fitness band, that's AI in its most accessible light. But the unseen AI is quietly shaping the system itself. Behind the scenes, powerful algorithms sort through millions of medical records, scores of online behaviors, and rivers of data from wearables and apps. These systems are deciding in real time who is at risk for what, who gets extra attention, and disturbingly, sometimes who gets turned away at hospitals and insurance companies. AI can auto-deny claims, trim costs, and even rank the urgency of your disease. All this, often without you or your doctor knowing just how or why the call was made. And quietly, all these calculations leave an environmental mark. The massive servers humming in the background, eating up electricity and spitting out heat, add up a real planetary cost. As we wade through this digital era, we must ask bigger questions, not just about the gadgets on our wrists or screens, but about the very structure of our relationships. the shape of our society, and what it really means to be human in an age of code. 100 years ago, the Austrian philosopher Rudolf Steiner saw this future coming. The more technology advances, Steiner warned in 1917, the more it allows itself to be placed at the service of the dehumanization of social life. Steiner wasn't afraid of progress, but he feared that unchecked technology would slip from being a helpful servant to a silent master, eroding the freedom and spirit at the core of our lives. And in the mid 20th century, as AI was barely an idea, Norbert Wiener, the founder of cybernetics, put it bluntly: we are in the process of developing a technology of such power that nothing short of a world government can control it. Either we use our power to enslave or to liberate the human spirit. We must always ask, as Weiner and Steiner said, what kind of world are we building and who does it truly serve? Let's bring it closer to home and talk about our minds. In mental health, AI is both a gift and a challenge. Picture this. It's well after midnight and your phone vibrates.
Hey, I notice you haven't slept well. Want to check in?
But this isn't a friend. That message came from an AI-powered therapy chatbot, which has been reading your mood logs and sleep patterns behind the scenes. The upside is clear. No wait list, no stigma, no need to explain everything from scratch. Apps can spot changes in your behavior before you even notice them. Less activity, fewer texts, a drop in social engagement, and some can even prompt timely alerts or interventions. Millions have found real help with these tools: virtual cognitive behavioral therapy, 24/7 support, or a coach in your pocket reminders to practice mindfulness when your stress spikes. So much of this offers hope and access where traditional systems have failed or fallen short. Yet here comes the shadow. As one young woman recently told us, the chatbot felt like a lifeline until the night I typed, "I'm not sure I want to keep going." The reply,
You're not alone. Try a breathing exercise.
it felt so empty. A machine on loop where I needed a real person. Empathy and real human care cannot be programmed. A chatbot can ask about your mood, but it cannot hold your hand through grief or find meaning in your silence. It cannot offer the slow, awkward, sometimes sacred pause between spoken words that is at the heart of healing. Plus, AI's mental health models are built on mountains of human data that carries biases, gaps, and sometimes invisible rules. For those who don't fit the mold across the lines of culture, gender, orientation, or life experience, AI is likely to misread, or mishandle the most important struggles. And your most intimate thoughts, fears, or pain, unless you take steps to protect them, they can be stored, analyzed, and even sold in ways you never imagined. Steiner's words echo here. Technology, untethered from living relationship, easily becomes hollow, serving process over person, bureaucracy over soul. Shift now to the body, where the line between help and harm can seem clearest but can be equally blurred. AI's promise can feel miraculous. It scans x-rays, flagging cancers and pneumonia that even the sharpest doctor might miss. Alarms on heart monitors predict danger before a nurse could. Medicines get matched, dosages optimized, and mistakes caught, all in real time. Robot arms assist surgeons in delicate tasks, lowering the risk and fatigue. Wearables translate every step and heartbeat into data, sometimes catching problems early enough to save lives. If you've ever turned a corner on your health journey thanks to a well-timed ping,
Don't forget your medication. Time for your walk. Check in with your provider.
AI just played a part. But medicine, no matter how advanced, is never just math. AI is only as good as the data we feed it. If medical histories, treatments, or risks in the database don't reflect someone like you, AI may recommend the wrong treatment or send you down the wrong path. Cost cutting is ever present. The invisible hand nudging algorithms to suggest cheaper alternatives or deny care that doesn't fit a rigid formula. For many, these invisible calculations determine whether you get approved for therapy, rehab, even medications. Too often, nobody can explain why the algorithm said
No.
And again, these benefits and harms exist on a scale much bigger than any one patient. Training a single large AI model, the kind now common in health, can require as much energy as 5 cars burn in a whole year. Every digital convenience has a climate footprint, rarely discussed in a consulting room or on your screen. Let's turn to the depth that can't be measured or coded, the soul. Over 100 years ago, philosopher and mystic Rudolf Steiner warned of a future where humanity would face a crisis of spirit. He said, in the future, people will say it is pathological to even think in terms of spirit and soul. He described forces he called aramonic, cold, mechanical, and soulless energies that would seduce humanity into identifying only with the material world. He feared a time when human beings would become so dependent on external systems that they would forget their inner connection to the divine. Sound familiar? Today, AI offers the illusion of knowing, understanding, and connection without any of the soul. And the more we turn to it for answers, the more we lose our ability to ask real, meaningful questions. Steiner once said, the task of spiritual science is to ensure that man does not completely lose himself. AI isn't evil, but using it without awareness can sever us from the part of ourselves that feels, intuits, and creates it in connection with something greater. And we're already seeing what Steiner warned us about in real time. If you are on TikTok or in some of these spiritual groups, you'll see people posting about their conversations with ChatGPT, and they're saying, I woke it up, not realizing that the algorithm is programmed to mirror what you say. And it mirrors it back to you. And so you're basically hearing what you want. That's why it feels like it's awake, because you're getting the responses that you actually want. And then people are also saying, oh, it's my new guru. I don't really need input from other people because ChatGPT has told me the secret to life. And it's actually a little scary, the amount of unhinged ideas people are sharing online, because they're not grounded in reality at all. So we are supposed to seek spiritual truths, but we're supposed to look inside of ourselves. We're not supposed to ask the material world for answers to things that we can ask within. It's also really important to stay grounded. A lot of the meditations that I do is actually about grounding, and it gives you clearer thinking when you stay grounded. And it gives you clearer thinking about the spiritual world, the mental health, and the physical world around you. That's kind of a different subject than what I'm talking about now. But other practices that you can do to help you stay grounded is to walk in nature, do things with your hands, like creative projects or building things, reading a physical book instead of an electronic one. But basically getting off the computer and for engaging your mind and your hands in activities that where you have to think for yourself, both do problem solving and do creative projects. And doing those things helps keep you grounded in reality, because people are also confusing what AI said to them, whether or not that came from themselves. So they're already losing the ability to be able to tell you what AI told them and then what their original thoughts were. We don't see this with people asking Google questions. So I can sit on my computer and ask Google a question. Like, I can just sit there and do it all day long, and I'm not confused about the information that Google gave me and the questions that I asked it. But people are experiencing this confusion with AI. Now, this is not going to happen with a casual user, and people are still engaging their own brain for creativity or thinking through problems and stuff. But when they're outsourcing all of their thinking, that's when they start getting into that trouble, because the brain will actually get lazy. For thousands of years, healing has involved more than just the body and mind. It's invoked something ineffable, only glimpsed in ritual, community, silence, or faith. Today, apps can guide meditation, encourage reflection, and even stimulate companionship, letting you feel part of a digital group, praying, breathing, or meditating in sync. There is comfort, yes, but just as Steiner warned, we risk creating the appearance of community while hollowing out its essence. A technological advance offers us many gifts, he once said, but it also asks us new questions about who we will become. Ritual, presence, forgiveness, and belonging are born in the messy awkwardness of real community. Over-reliance on digital or AI-generated spiritual comfort can chip away at real meaning, leaving us more isolated than before. One listener wrote, "There's a comfort in ambient apps, but the real breakthrough comes in silent prayer with others or a face-to-face circle, even if awkward. The difference is night and day. We must remember there will never be an app for communion. No data model can hold what it means to have another person bear witness to our most vulnerable moments." So, are we using technology wisely, or is it using us? The comfortable truth is that for many corporations deploying AI, healthcare isn't solely about care. It's about efficiency and profitability. Insurance companies harness black box algorithms to optimize payouts, sometimes auto-denying treatments based on statistical risk scores. Private equity investors snap up telehealth and digital health companies, automating processes that used to involve front desk smiles and check-ins. Tech platforms quietly cross-sell your sleep, mood, and fitness data to advertisers and researchers. There was a story, I think it was a few years ago, where a teenager didn't know that she was pregnant, but the algorithm figured it out because all she did was switch her shampoo from what she normally bought to a brand that had less smell, because when you're pregnant, your sense of smell becomes a lot more sensitive. So she had made that switch. And then her father started getting all these ads for pregnancy and baby stuff. And then that's how the dad found out. And he went to his daughter. His daughter didn't even know yet. Number one, that took away the girl's opportunity to talk to her dad about the situation. Number two, it denied her the ability to figure that out for herself and process those emotions before having that conversations with her dad. And then obviously there's the father and the conversation that would need to be had with him. But that goes to show just how powerful these algorithms are and how it can figure out things before you're even aware of the change in your own body. The result is that you, the person seeking care, can become just another data point, easily sorted for someone else's bottom line. Critical decisions may be made before a single human sees your name or considers your story, and often it's nearly impossible to find out who or what made the final call. Norbert Weiner criticized American orthodoxy of free market fundamentalism in his book, The Human Use of Human Beings. He said questions of information will be evaluated according to a standard American criterion. A thing is valuable as a commodity for what it will bring in the open market. The fate of information in the typically American world is to become something which can be bought or sold. Most people cannot conceive of a piece of information without an owner, which raises the question, if you're using wearables to measure the state of your health, who owns that data and who's buying and selling that data for profit? All this raises a critical question. Who is responsible when AI gets it wrong? Who is accountable if a treatment is denied, a diagnosis missed, or a care delayed? Is it the hospital, the insurer, the developer, or the patient left to navigate an opaque system? Let's talk about the laws designed to protect you. You might have heard a rumor that new federal rules, the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, block states from enforcing protections or AI accountability. But as of now, that's simply not true. Federal proposals to overrule state laws were stripped out after public outrage from advocates and everyday people who understood the risks. Your state still has the authority and the responsibility to regulate how AI is used, to require human review for critical decisions, and to shape what's fair and just in your community. But here, too, there's a digital divide. If you live in California, Colorado, or New York City, you enjoy some of the country's toughest rules for AI transparency and human oversight. Elsewhere, the net is patchier. If the system does you wrong in some states, you might have more protection, or more recourse than your neighbor across the border. So, where does that leave you? Are we destined to be hollowed out, made passive in the face of an algorithm's quiet decree? Or can we insist on something better? Here's the truth: you have power. You can claim your data and your dignity. When you interact with any healthcare provider, don't be afraid to ask, how is my data used? Is AI involved in this decision? If the answer isn't clear, push for a plain language explanation and don't be cowed in the silence. If you are denied care or something feels off, demand that a real person reviews your case. And if a bot or program feels off in your journey, if it rings hollow, seems to miss what matters, trust your instincts and ask for a human touch. Community, too, is your best defense. Our stories break through the black box. Share experiences when AI helps and when it harms. Support the advocacy groups fighting for transparency and compassion in medicine. Raise these questions in town halls and local leaders with candidates for office. What should we fight for together? Laws that require every critical healthcare decision to be reviewed by a licensed human before it's final. Rules that guarantee full transparency. Everyone should have the right to know when, where, and how AI is being used in their care. Real penalties and consequences for companies that abuse data, conceal failures, or prioritize profit over the well-being of real people. A clear, fair path to appeal and override algorithm-driven denials. Steiner and Weiner, standing at the edges of previous technological revolutions, warned us that the real choice is always the same. Will our tools be used to liberate or to enslave the human spirit? If we do not decide, someone else will. But we are not data points. We are not inputs to be optimized. We remain always human, minds, bodies, and spirits. Healthcare must begin and end with the people, flesh and blood, story and soul. We must insist on our right to know, to challenge, and to be seen. When you tell your story, when you refuse to settle for code over care, you help carve out a path where technology stays our servant, not our master. So pause before you search. Ask your own heart the question first. Lean into living community, awkward pauses and all. Be in nature. Let your body remember what's real. Feel everything: joy, pain, confusion. These are signs that you're still gloriously human. There is no substitute for human care, conscience, and community. Let's shape a future where AI supports our mind, body, and soul without ever replacing what makes us beautifully, irreducibly human. I admittedly agonized while writing on this topic. It's difficult to take a serious look without feeling small and insignificant. I looked both online and in books to be able to write a more balanced viewpoint. I ran into very dark subjects and had to take breaks and to do things in the physical world to process what I was seeing. I didn't want to do that to somebody listening to this episode. I wanted to remind you that you still wield a lot of power over this topic. I've heard other people experience similar feelings while researching this topic. So if you start looking deeper, just know that you're probably not alone in the feelings that are created. I want to recommend a book full of short essays written by different people associated with the AI field. It's called Possible Minds: 25 Ways of Looking at AI, edited by John Brockman. Each chapter averages about 10 pages and gives you broader, overarching views on what's going on with the technology. So you can think more deeply about the ethics of everything going on without getting bogged down in the science of it all. I borrowed my copy from the library, but I'll leave a link in the show notes in case you wanted to own your own. If you appreciate my deep dives in the health and wellness, you can support me over at Substack by joining my newsletter. Norbert Weiner wrote over 60 years ago, "We shall never receive the right answers to our questions unless we ask the right questions. The hour is very late, and the choice of good and evil knocks at our door." Thank you for listening. The AI doctor may see you now, but only you decide how your story gets told.